Let's finish up Be'ez Hashem Perek Chof Hey. So we left off yesterday discussing the chelik of trying to do the positive, which is first of all the generation of trying to get, or generating the idea of the love and fear of the Rabbeinu Shalom through Somera, and then going into the Asay Tov, which is specifically being misgaba on the Yetzer Hara, telling you not to do the things that you should be doing, like learning Torah and like giving tzedakah, which is what also generates that connection and that dveika. So we're on those lines, and Be'ez Hashem will finish off now, Perek Chafei, which actually finishes off a little bit of a section of Likutei Moharan of Tanya. That's where we're holding. All of these sorts of things, Mimulchamo is hayetza, right? That the Yetzer Hara basically tries to wage a war against the person to do the most chosh of things that we know he needs to do. Right? To cool down a person. Right? We always use that notion of heat and coolness, because coolness sort of like, calms the person down, he's not so into it, whatever. The Yetzer always tries to get you not excited, whether it's learning, whether it's davening, not giving tzedakah, doing the things that you're meant to be doing. That you need to learn to stand against him. שננצח היצר בכל זאת ויועצו מזה לעשס הפכוי ממש קל מאוד מייסורי מיסה השם ישמעהו וייסורי מיסה השם ישמעהו הוא מקבל מאהבה וברוצה של הפועל מייחוד ואחדות יסברך אפילו לפי שם. Essentially what he's saying is a person has to kind of realize and make a cheshbon. What are the most important things in his life? What are his values? What are the things that are most important? They may be the most difficult, they may be the hardest things for him to do, a lot of challenges involved in getting there, but ultimately these are the most important things, and he has to push himself to get to those things. And that causes the greatest yichud. Masha'en came the opposite, which is of course avodah zarah chas v'shalom, which is a person separating. V'kol sheyesh, v'kol shekein sheyesh le'likabel ba'avarot sekadei ledavka b'oy le'olam vod. V'kol shekein, a person should makabel ba'avarot in order to do all of these things, to be medabek to the Rabbeinu Shalom always. The hainu meaning kishiyasev etzoni yisbarach ba'avodah zu. When a person wants to do the right avodah, yiskalaba pnimis rotzon ha'elyon bepchinas ponim v'gidu rav v'loy behesta klal kishe'en shum hesta ponim rotzon ha'elyon azay ein dova nifra klal o klal liyos yesh v'dova b'fnei atzma. We don't want to turn anything that's negative into a yesh, into an actual thing. V'lezois tiena nafsher lekis v'chiyunis v'levusheim kulam yichod b'takas yichod rotzon ha'elyon v'ora ein soy baruch hu kanal. That means that when a person trains himself to do the right thing, he pushes himself to do the things that he has valued as the most important things, then what happens is, as we've spoken about before, there's a yichud, not only of him, with his nefesh lekis, together with all the levushim that goes together with it, with rotzen ha'elyon, which is the greatest thing, which means that when a person essentially does a mitzvah, it creates a bond, it creates a connection to the Rabbeinu Shalom. And it basically makes it like the Mishnah Pirkei Avos says, that I'm avatal my rotzen to the rotzen of the Rabbeinu Shalom, which means we're becoming one, so to speak. That's what's happened. That's what he keeps on using this l'shonos, b'tachlis hayichud b'rotzen ha'elyon v'orein sei baruch hu. That when I do something positive, it intertwines me with the rotzen Hashem. V'yichud zeh l'malahu nitzki la'olam v'od. And you should know, this yichud that happens, that occurs when you do that mitzvah, it's not like it happens only for the few seconds you do the mitzvah. The moment you put in the money in the stocker box, those few seconds, or the moment you're davening or learning whatever it is. No. He's saying it's nitzchig. It's forever and ever and ever. There's no end to it. Like we said yesterday, there is no zman. There's no such thing as this time versus that time. It's nitzchis, and therefore, if that's the case, when you have a yichud with the Rabbeinu Shalom, when you adapt to the Rabbeinu Shalom through the mitzvahs, through the challenges of getting to do those mitzvahs, then that connection, that bond that you've created, is something that lasts forever. By the way, it's interesting. I didn't point this out yesterday, but it's only because he says over here, I'm going to point out again. He always says, if you notice the Shita Da'aliga Tanya, Dibur, it always says the Dibur, right? If you notice yesterday, if not mistaken, yesterday we also said Azar Loshen, we said Loshen, Uba Pele Posuk Puma Migirsa. Okay, it's Loshen Chazal, but he's often quoting, very important, because the Balatanya Shita is, when you learn Torah, you're only yoked to the Chiv of Torah if you actually say it. right? So famous Shida, but Tanya, it's a kasha. They ask what happens if a person listening to a shir and nothing's coming out of a pair. It's Yotze Mitzvah Talmud Torah, whatever it is. I'm not going into that now, the halakhic aspect of it, but the Balatanya is very into the idea of dibur. A person has to speak it out. It's very, very important. Anyway, Shehia Torah hi nitzchi. Once again, the same idea that when a person is megale his rotzen, that his dibur is dibur of Torah, dibur of the things that are meant to be done, then he creates that bond forever. Ella. In other words, in the upper worlds, your connection to the Rabbeinu Shalom is through a mitzvah, and that mitzvah is eternal, and that bond is eternal, and it's never, ever, ever broken, ever, right? But in this world, meaning down over here, that's what he's saying, where there is Zman, and there is physicality, and there is everything else, so then eventually, that connection does stop. Meaning, again, let's be clear, when you get stuck and you learn Torah, the connection you make, that bond is nitzches, it lasts forever. But down over here, if you're learning Torah, it's gavaldik b'shas when you're learning Torah. But the minute you close the Gemara and you go to something that's no shaykhs, then that connection, that bond, is now gone. And once it's gone, so then you can't tell me it's eternal, because that's how it works down over here. Are you with me? V'hainu, okay? Kisha oisik b'dvarim b'teilim legamri. Not talking about we're doing things that have some, mitzvah or some Yiddishkeit, whatever it is. You're doing some divine b'teilim. Zero shaykhus Rabbeinu Shalom. Then you have severed that connection, at least down here, but not up there. However, but when you open up the Gemara again, when you start doing the stock again, when you start doing the chesed again, whatever it is that you're doing, you go back to Avodas Hashem, and you ask mechina from the Rabbeinu Shalom for having the ability to learn, and you did not in the last few minutes, hours, whatever it is that you just did. Hashem Yislach, the Rabbeinu Shalom gives you a slicha. The Gemara says, a person's over the mitzvah saying, and he does tshuva, they don't move until they mochel you. Very interesting, big chiddush by say. The whole bracha that we say every single day, Selach Lanu, in Shemona Esra, says the Balatanya, Lozeh, for this reason, they were masakin the bracha in Shemona Esra to say Selach Lanu, Shalosh Panim B'chol Yoim. Al, for what reason? Avoin Bittul Torah. She'ein Odom Nitzim Memenim B'chol Yoim, because it's basically, there's no person that is not saved from that. Everyone needs it, because unfortunately, how is it shy for a person to learn Torah Yom V'Lola 24 hours a day? Mimeli they were masaket slach lanu only for the avera a bittul Torah. Kamosha Tomid, Tomid Shay Machapa Mitzvah say. So therefore, the Tomid is Machapa Mitzvah say. So to slach lanu is Machapa for bittul Torah. The ain ze echto oshev. Don't think for a minute. So basically, when he says slach lanu, he's basically saying I'm asking for slicha because I know that I'm going to be mevatel Torah in 10 minutes. So I'm basically asking. I'm doing tshuva before. I'm doing the Avera knowing I'm going to do tshuva afterwards. No, absolutely not. But ein ze echt of ashub. Ela imkin shebishas achet mamish who soymech ala tshuva olekacha choita. Kamishis baba makim acha. And therefore, what we're saying over here is no. When you say slachanu, it's not. When you do, your bittul Torah, it's not pshat that you're having kavanah. Oh, I'm going to say slachanu in 20 minutes by mincha, so I'm going to do tshuva for this. No. This idea of echt of oshuv, which again we spoke about previously, doesn't mean you cannot do tshuva, just means it's harder for you to do tshuva, is only b'shas aveira a person knows that he's going to do tshuva, and that's why he does the aveira, as we have said before. Masha Inken, when it comes to Torah, it's not included in let me do the aveira and do tshuva afterwards, because at the end of the day it's kind of impossible for most human beings that I know, or should we say every human being, to learn Torah every single moment of the day, right? We have Yechidim in the world, David HaMelech, we find in Chazal different places, but those are Yechidim. Now we understand. Why is it that Moshe Rabbeinu in Devarim asked specifically to the generation, to those that are coming into Israel, Likros Kriyashma Pa'mayim B'chol Yoim, Dafka, that there should be a tzivoy, a command, to read Kriya Shema twice a day, right? Meaning the mitzvah is only given to them 40 years after that, right? To the next generation. But Moshe Rabbeinu wanted them to read it twice a day. Why? The Kabul Alof Malchus Shemaim B'Mesiras Nefesh. To Makabel Malchus Shemaim, which is what Kriya Shema is, Mesiras Nefesh, V'Alov Tiach Lehem. and it was guaranteed to them, Pachtachem umerachem yitain Hashem v'chulei, right? So they were promised that nobody would stand against them. Specifically, they were instructed, so Shema, they were ready and prepared to give up for. It means, sounds like the kiyum of Torah and the mitzvahs are all totally in this. She yizka tomid inyan mitzvahs nafshe la'Hashem al yichudai. She kavua beliboy tomid mamish umah v'lodah. Should be kavua, should be in your blood, in every one of your veins, in your heart, always. Yom v'lodah, day and night. Lo yomish mitzachroinei, should never separate, go away, and be deviated from your thought process. Ki v'zeh yuchal la'amoid neged Yitzchak, because that's the only way you're going to be able to stand up against the very, very clever and strong Yetzer Hara that we have, and that's going to constantly conquer him and constantly overpower him. Canal, as we know, the Gemara tells us every moment and every day the Yetzer Hara is mischadish. Tries that different ways. So, Lemaisa, we finished Perek Chaf Hey, but I do want to say that not only have we finished Perek Chaf Hey, we've also finished the Chelik of Tanya that basically wants to teach us how to learn to go inside ourselves and bring out this, what we call the dormant love, the pilot light that we said yesterday, that's automatically there and every Yid has, but how to get it much more into flames and get it excited and get it hot and get it very, very, very negeya. That is, we're finishing off that section. We're now going to move on to a different section, Be'ez Hashem, which I guess we will do next week. B'siyata d'shmaya. Shkoyach.